on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast.
You can put your entire heart and soul into something and have that conviction and then decide later that it's not right. And that is okay. Being able to recognize that you need to make a change, whether it's in life, whether it's in school, whether it's in a relationship, a job, whatever it may be, having the strength and the courage to identify I need to make a change is one of the bravest, one of the most kind of self-reflective things that anybody can do. So trust your gut, follow your heart, and do the thing.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Alexander, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Hey sorority chatters, welcome back to this week's episode. Today's guest is somebody who brings serious passion, purpose, and perspective to everything she does, both in and out of the water. And I'll explain that further in a minute. Quinn Tilling is a member of Alpha Gamma Delta at the University of Alberta, where she just recently wrapped up her term as chapter president, also held some other leadership roles through the years. She's an emerging scientist in marine ecology, and I am so pumped for us to talk about that. She has hands-on experience studying coral reefs and fish communities, including scientific scuba diving in Mexico. I'm geeking out over all of the stuff we're going to get to talk about. Quinn is the recipient of the University of Alberta's Undergraduate Research Initiative Award and AGD Foundation Scholarship. She is a shining example of how sorority life and science go hand in hand. Let's dive in to how Greek life helped Quinn find the confidence to pivot her academic path, pursue her love of environmental science, and step into leadership, all while staying grounded in sisterhood and in service. Welcome, Quinn.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Liz. It's great to chat with you always.
I know. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in maybe roughly a year because we did the Empower program together, and now I'm trying to think when it ended.
Oh my gosh, what, March last year? Been a while.
Right. It has been a while. So it's great to reconnect. I've loved staying in touch with you via socials and seeing all of your adventures in Mexico and beyond.
It's been quite a year. It's been a busy year. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm really fortunate to get to do the things that I get to do. So I'm pumped to get to chat about it with you.
Yes, I'm so glad we're having the conversation. I've always been just entranced when you talk about the work that you get to do through your schooling. And even before we started recording, you were talking about it being a 5-year program and that you're really enjoying sort of a elongated or expanded collegiate experience. And I think that is so great to be able to have time to have those experiences because like I was sharing with you, last week's guest, Lindsay Thurston, shared that she graduated in 3 years and she felt like it was too rushed and too condensed.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's this kind of pressure almost to speed things up and to be efficient and to get through school and get into the real world. But for me, once I kind of pivoted away from that idea of I need to go and I need to, get into my career and I got to finish my undergraduate as quickly as I can. Once I kind of let go of that and I started enjoying, getting to volunteer more, I started enjoying getting to gain more work experience. I started getting to enjoy my time as an executive in Alpha Gam. I realized that college is real life, right? And you can enjoy it like real life. And rather than waiting for, or, rushing for the end goal, enjoying every bit of it along the way has just been so unbelievably rewarding. And I'm not done yet. I've got another year, but I'm already feeling a little bit like nostalgic for it almost. I know that I'm always going to reflect positively on this time.
I love hearing that from you. So me being someone who's older, now looking back, I see the benefits of the things that you're talking about, the slowing down, the not rushing through. But you're right. There is so much pressure to check every box, move on to the next stage, do all of the things that society or whatever messages you're getting are telling you that you should be doing. And what I've always really appreciated about you is that you feel very grounded and you're just, like you said, enjoying what you're working on, whether that is service, whether that's a leadership role, or it's your schooling, and you're taking in that journey and realizing that that is the bulk of the fun, not just getting to that destination.
Exactly. And for me, that's kind of the point, is to be very present and to enjoy every part of it, because there's so much pressure, not just in school, but in all aspects of life, to have this kind of idea of you need to be super efficient. You need to be constantly working towards something very specific. And if you're not achieving kind of these hard, I guess, goals, then you're not succeeding. Whereas I think that it's really about enjoying every part of it, because that's the point to me. So it's been really nice to get to enjoy my college experience this way, and I definitely hope to kind of carry this mentality forward as I keep going through school and beyond.
I mean, well, it will serve you well if you can hold on to that. There's a lot of value in it. So you were born and raised in Canada. How did you land at the University of Alberta, and what drew you into Alpha Gam?
Oh, man. So I grew up, the University of Alberta is in Edmonton, Alberta. I grew up outside of Edmonton in a city called Leduc, and it's a city now, but it's pretty small, certainly compared to Edmonton. So I kind of grew up sort of adjacent to Edmonton, but not really a part of it. And when it came time to go into school, I kind of knew. I knew that the University of Alberta would serve me well. It's always really stood out as a research institution, and I've always been interested in research, although the discipline has changed over time. I started my undergrad in political science and women's studies, so I was very interested in kind of the social science research, and the University of Alberta stood out as a leader kind of in that aspect too. And it's also served me really well as I transitioned into the environmental sciences and finding those environmental science research positions as well. So it's a school I'm honestly so grateful for, it to have an institution like this so close to, well, my first home, and now, you know, Edmonton is my home and this university is my home. So it's been a great place. And it also brought me Alpha Gam, which I always get the question. I tell people that, well, you know, I'm in a sorority, and they say, we have sororities in Canada? What do you mean? People do not know. People do not know ever. And so I certainly didn't know when I started university. So I did not go through primary recruitment in the fall because I had no idea, right? I had absolutely no idea that Greek life existed on our campus. And even if I did know, I think at that point in my life, I would have thought, oh, well, that's not for me. I just didn't really think of myself as somebody who kind of fit the idea of a sorority woman. And the University of Alberta is primarily a commuter campus. I don't know what the percentage is, but the vast majority of students live off of campus. So my first semester of my first year, I took the train that I'm actually watching leave right now from my apartment. I walked over there every day. I got on the train, took the train to school, and then I came home, and rinse and repeat every day. And that was very lonely, right? And I felt like I wasn't getting a whole lot out of my university experience. Yeah, that second semester, I saw a flyer for Panhellenic Sororities continuous open bidding COB recruitment. And I thought, you know what, let's see what this is like. And I went on a coffee date with a couple of the Alpha Gams, and I walked out of that conversation feeling like I had just spent an hour talking with my best friends. And I kind of stopped, and I can remember again, that same train ride home, sitting there and thinking, okay, wait, maybe I can be a sorority woman. Maybe this is a place for me. And I was actually just looking at my calendar. It was the first week of February in 2023 that I went on my first coffee date. So 3 years ago this week.
Oh, wow.
And now I've been the president. I've gotten to know people like you and attend these conferences in the United States and represent Canadian sororities. And it's been just the highlight of my university so far.
Oh, I love to hear that. And you highlighted, I think, something that is so valuable, that the membership in sorority organizations, it just gives you a place to belong. It gives you family. It gives you like a central spot in your collegiate experience that sort of grounds you and gives you that focus. And I think there's a lot of value to having that instead of just feeling like you're floundering during those 4 years, because I think when that happens, you're much more likely to not see it through and to finish.
Well, exactly. And I think, you know, it's cliche, but it's a cliche that I subscribe to, in that it takes a village in absolutely every aspect of life, right? We as humans are social creatures. Inherently, we need other people around us. We need community and belonging. And so when you're removed from that, you can go it alone, and you can do something like university and just go to class and go home and not really, build those circles. And in theory, you can succeed that way. However, it is far, far, far more enjoyable when you have people surrounding you who care about you, who are invested in you, and who you are invested in turn, that can encourage you and keep you grounded. And it just makes life feel so much more vibrant and rich when you have people to share it with,
Yeah, it does. And then I think it speaks back to what you were saying at the beginning about enjoying the experience instead of rushing through it, because you don't want to rush through the time with your sisters and your friends and making those memories. You're really getting to soak it in along the way. And then once you reach the end goal, great, then you can move on from there.
Exactly. And it's nice too to have people around you who are going through kind of similar life stages, but also very different, right? Like our
100.
Our college journeys are all very different. And, especially this last fall, our new member class, welcoming them home as chapter president and seeing these, beautiful first years that are just kind of starting out their college experiences. I kind of had a moment when they ran home where I was like, oh my gosh, like I can remember what my first 3 weeks of university felt like. And now here I am, and, I'm in my fourth year, and I feel like a real adult, and getting to kind of see these life stages from different perspectives. It also is really good for like personal reflection, right? And kind of rooting yourself, again, talking about being grounded in that moment, to then get to kind of see these milestones in other people, but then also to have sometimes my sisters stop me and say, you just did this thing that's really cool. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess I did do that. Thank you. It's just really special.
That is special to have people recognize that for you. Have you seen that meme that talks about, the reason we don't stop and celebrate milestones is because we just think I was supposed to do that. And so, I mean, even if you're supposed to do it and you do it, you can still celebrate it, but we tend to forget it along the way.
Exactly. One of those moments hit me right before our initiations in the fall semester, where I had been running around all week, and I'm, trying to get everything prepared, and I'm talking with our venue and our caterers, and I'm doing all of this prep work, and I'm just kind of running around our chapter house a little bit like I don't know what's going on. And one of our new members, who's so quiet and just super reserved, she was just sitting on the couch doing some homework, and she closed her laptop lid, and she went, you know what, Quinn? I don't know if anybody has said this to you today, but I see all of the work that you're doing, and I really, really appreciate how much work you're putting in for our initiations. Like, thank you. And I just kind of stopped, and I had that moment where I thought about that meme, because I was like, well, I'm the president. Like, I'm just supposed to do this. But then I kind of realized, you know what? Wait, I am putting in a lot of work, and it has an impact, right? And so just kind of having that moment to kind of stop and check myself and to think about.
Yeah, no, that is very nice. What other leadership roles did you hold within the chapter aside from president?
So my very first position was director of property.
Oh, that one's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that one. No, it was really fun. It was a very different role from anything I'd ever done before. I'd never had any experience with anything like that. But yeah, it was really fun. And I took that in my second semester. There had been a vacancy, so I took it for the kind of second half of the year and loved it. And then I was just like hooked on the leadership. So then I was elected as vice president of administration, which I love that role. I've loved all of my roles. I've loved being the president, but administration will always have my heart, because it's just such a special and unique role where you get to have so many crucial kind of behind the scenes tasks that a lot of people don't recognize. So every election cycle, all of our new vice presidents of administration, I like make a point of having those moments where I say like, thank you for what you're doing. Like, I see you. And then, yeah, halfway through that term, a vacancy opened for campus relations, and there was no interest in filling it really. So I went to our chapter advisor and I said, can I have two positions? And yeah, she okayed it. So I was campus relations and admin for a while. Also super fun. I loved that role. And then transitioned into presidency for 2025.
Nice. So when you were doing the dual role, were they very different? Like when you say admin, is it what you would think of like administrative tasks that are supporting other roles within leadership?
A lot of it is. So I would say that the most important roles of admin in kind of Alpha Gam's officer structure is like maintaining all of the records, right? The chapter role and all of our like emergency contact information, all of our meeting minutes is a big one, our governing documents, and all sorts of stuff like that. So it is very complementary to really all of the other positions. Like there's something for every other officer portfolio that admin directly helps with. So transitioning into campus relations was honestly quite easy because things that I had been doing in admin, such as like maintaining our contact information for all of the other sorority and fraternity executive boards and communicating with them, that was something that was a natural kind of flow from one position to the other. They were super, super complementary, but campus relations gave me a little bit more face time and kind of getting out from behind my little computer in my desk, which was fun.
Well, that's cool that you were able to dovetail those together and do the dual roles. You talked about changing your major and you went in thinking you were going to focus on women's studies, and now you have landed somewhere entirely different. Talk about that transition and what made you realize, ooh, I want to make a shift.
Oh my gosh. It's a big subject for me. High school, pandemic.
Yes.
And that kind of frames this whole story. Was I was in grade 10 when all of the COVID everything kicked off. So there were some big life changes. School looked very different and everything looked very different. And it turns out that I also was navigating undiagnosed ADHD at that time. So high school was not a super great time for me academically. So when it came time to apply to university, I just kind of thought, okay, well, I'm good at the social studies. I'm good at the English. That's going to have to be good enough. Like, it's interesting. That's going to have to be good enough, which did kind of break my heart a little bit because from when I was 3-4 years old, I was super fascinated with everything outdoors, playing in the dirt, begging my parents to take me to like the natural history museums and stuff. And like, was always very much like, where's Quinn? She's literally out like rolling around in the mud in the yard. And so I had always loved these kind of environmental sciences and biology and the outdoors, but I really thought that I wasn't, kind of like with the sorority, I thought that it just wasn't for me. And I just wasn't the kind of person that could do that. Because my science grades, my math grades in high school, they weren't great at all. And so I thought, okay, that's just clearly not a field that's meant for me. And even if I have this interest, it's going to be the hobby, and I will do political science and women's studies, and maybe I'll do law, something along those lines. And I did a year of that. It was after that, my first year of university, that I actually got my scuba diving certification when I was in Italy. I'd done like a month semester abroad sort of situation. And after that term, I was in Italy, I was in the Mediterranean, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do a discover scuba dive for fun, like a non-certified, like tourist dive. And I did that, and I got out of the water, and I actually, I have a picture in my camera roll that it was like a Snapchat or something that I took right after that dive. And it was like, oh my gosh, is it too late to change my major to marine biology? Like, I loved this, haha, LOL. And then I went back to Canada and I made it through, I think, 2 weeks of classes in September in political science. And I can remember the entire 2 weeks, I was seeing everybody walking in and out of the environmental science buildings and like the biology lab buildings and just like feeling like a yearning in my heart. And I thought, you know what, I have to make a change. Like, I will put in the work. I have been diagnosed with ADHD. I'm managing that diagnosis with medication, with therapy. I can do this because I want to do this, and I'll just make it work. And so pivoted, transitioned into environmental studies, and I have not looked back once. And I am just so beyond grateful to have made that decision and to have had so much support from the people around me in making that decision. And it's just completely changed my whole life.
I love that because you're so passionate about your focus and your studies now, and it comes out in like all the conversations. That's obvious hearing it from you now. Did you have any like hurdles with the changeover? Were you at a point in your college career that you had amassed a lot of credits going the other way, and like was that going to be a deterrent for you?
Well, I mean, certainly a part of it when I was kind of weighing the pros and cons of this transition was knowing that a fair number of my credits from my first year would transfer, and they would, fill the elective credits and whatnot. But it would give me an extra year of school. Like, even I would have had to take more than full class loads I would have had to do every summer, every spring semester. It would have been exhausting. So the only reasonable way to do it was to move past 4 years and to do a fifth year. But again, that just kind of seemed worth it, right? I mean, really, I think the biggest challenge was I got rejected from the program transfer initially. And I was actually driving to chapter, and I got an email from the faculty, and it was like an update on like, check your University of Alberta account for an important update regarding your application. And so I pulled off into the first parking lot. Because I saw the notification on my map. I was like, I need to check this right now. So I pulled into like a Starbucks parking lot, and I was feeling really excited. Like, I had a great GPA from my first year. Again, I knew my high school grades weren't awesome, but I thought, well, they're going to look more at my university grades. Surely it'll be fine. And so I'm excited. I'm like feeling good. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to go and tell everybody at chapter. Yay, I got in. And I got rejected. And I felt like the world fell apart, like completely fell apart. And I was 5 minutes away from our house, like our chapter house at that time. And before I left the parking lot, I texted my big, and I was like, I need a no questions asked. I need you when I come into the house. I just need you to get me out of chapter. And I just need you, please. And she was like, yep, okay, got it. And I got to the house, and she was right there. And I can remember like her opening the door when she like saw me walking up. And I was just like, I've never cried like that in my entire life. And I was just like, I like physically fell apart. Like, she had to like hold me up. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And bless her heart, she stayed with me and talked me through it. And of course, I'm a blubbering mess, and my makeup is like everywhere. And we were like just about to start chapter, but then I kind of like wandered into the house, and I'm like all disheveled and kind of derailed things. And the number of people that rallied around me and sat with me while I was crying everywhere. And I'm like, again, smearing makeup all over everybody's nice business clothes and a wreck. And those girls stayed there, and they sat with me, and they held me up, and they told me that we're going to figure it out. But we are going to figure it out. And I, of course, was, well, how are we going to figure it out? I got rejected. Like, there's no figuring that out. And they're like, nope, we can go and we can talk to the student advocacy office. We're going to make appointments with the department. We're going to make appointments with the faculty. We're going to send some emails together. We're going to figure this out. And they pulled up like the admissions appeals policies and all of this stuff, and helped guide me through it, and helped me draft an email to send that night to the admissions office saying, hey, you rejected me. And the reason they said was for GPA, and said that I didn't meet the competitive GPA. And so my sisters helped me draft an email saying, I would argue that I do meet the competitive GPA because this is the GPA and we want more rationale and blah, blah, blah. And they got back to me a few days later, and turns out there had been an error with the admissions process. And then they said, sorry, you actually did get in, which was like the world's biggest relief, because I was very much ready to reevaluate, right, when I got that decline. But my sisters were very much the guiding factor that got me over that barrier. And I don't know what I would have done without that.
What a powerful story, though, because you were ready to give up, right? You're rejected, you're defeated, you're upset that the path you thought you were going to take isn't the one going. And then they loved on you and encouraged you to ask more questions and to advocate for yourself. And then, surprise, upon further review, there was a mistake. And you never would have known that if you hadn't just gone back and tried again.
It fully changed my life. And that was kind of one of the moments. Yeah, I joined in the winter semester of my first year. So that would have been the fall semester of my second year. So it was only my second semester in chapter. And I had had so many experiences before then. Like, I knew that like these girls were people who loved me and that I loved and who, you know, I felt really at home with. But that was really the defining kind of moment for me, where I realized for the first time that I can like really pinpoint in my adult life, where I recognized that community is not just a nice thing to have. It is an essential thing to have. And it really changed my perspective on that. Just the sense of gratitude that I kind of felt walking away from that. Like, I don't think that I'll ever really find the words to describe it, but I'm a lucky person to have had those people around me for sure. And it really changed my life.
Yeah. It's that village you were talking about earlier. That's amazing. Well, I mean, you've talked about academic struggles, but then you received the Undergraduate Research Initiative Award, and you've also gotten scholarship from the Alpha Gamma Delta Foundation. Talk about those things and what those have allowed you to do as a result.
Yeah, so both of those awards have really, I mean, been transformative. Feels like not even the right way to describe it, but I think the foundation award from Alpha Gam was really quite pivotal because yeah, receiving that, and I received the Epsilon Beta scholarship, and receiving that really gave me the ability to reduce some of my work hours going into, oh my gosh, I guess that would have been, yeah, my third year of university. I received it, yeah, the summer before. So that being able to, in the fall semester of my third year, kind of step back a little bit from work and still be able to, meet my needs. Like the costs associated with university are not any small feat.
Right, right.
So being able to meet those needs allowed me to really, really focus on my school and to work as hard as I possibly can and to strive for these opportunities. And it was that semester that I got wind of a marine ecology lab on our campus, and I started a PhD candidate in the lab was one of my teaching assistants for a biology lab. And so I put my everything into the biology lab and sent emails and begged to be a research assistant. And yeah, come February, it was actually when I was at the Academy for Collegiate Officers, and I got an email from another PhD candidate in that same lab saying, "Hey, I've heard that, you're highly motivated and interested. Would you like to come volunteer on this project?" To which I immediately said, "Yes, please, please, please." And then I was able to kind of throw everything into that. And yeah, later that semester, I was invited to apply for this research award to kind of offset some of the costs associated with being an undergraduate researcher. And yeah, it was a mad dash to write a big proposal and to kind of get everything submitted. And yeah, a couple months later, I heard back that I received this award. And for the last year, I've been researching full time.
That's amazing. And is that how you landed in Mexico?
Yeah, so what I ended up doing in Mexico was a kind of separate course that was facilitated through the University of Montana, Missoula.
Ah, love me some Montana.
Love it, right? Love it. Their environmental studies program is unbelievable. And there's this field course that they kind of like support. And yeah, I saw this opportunity to go and to spend a couple weeks in Mexico doing field reef research. And I thought, this seems like the kind of thing I need to do. And I went to my lab because I am working in this lab, right, as a recipient of this research award. So I sat down with, kind of my supervisory team in the lab. And I said, "Hey, there's this opportunity for me to go and do this field course in Mexico, but I would have to basically take 3-4 weeks off of work. What do you think?" And everybody said with like unwavering support, "You need to go do this. Like, don't worry about our lab stuff. You go, you do this, you get this experience. We'll figure it out when you're home. Like, go get the most out of it." And it worked out perfectly. And it wound up being just like the most amazing experience. I can't even describe it. I'm nostalgic for it already.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, your pictures were amazing. And it's just awesome that, again, that village within like the research community showed up for you and said, "Yes, go do this. You need to have that experience." And then like, look at the memories that you have now and all that you learned.
Well, exactly. And, there's something so special about all of these different kind of communities and their impact in kind of different seasons and life stages and all of that. And I mean, like most recently, my field research cohort, oh my gosh, there were 24 of us students, and we got real close real fast because a stomach bug ended up going around.
Oh no.
It was not good. And I was the first to come down with it. And I was like utterly miserable for a few days. And everybody was just like, "Here's ginger ale, here's Pepto, like, here's crackers, like, let me get you ice water, let me get you a Gatorade, and just like, let me come." And I was just like crying one day because I wanted to go diving so bad, but I was just like not feeling well. And my friends were like, we're going to come sit with you. And they just held me while I cried and while I was just like cranky and upset. And everyone was just so patient and supportive and collected data when I was sick. And yeah, it wound up being such a unique community because you're going through all of the trials associated with field research. It might look kind of, oh yay, I'm in Mexico glamorous, but it's definitely with some challenges. So
yeah,
having people who get that and who are bonded to you that way is just so unique and so special.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I appreciate about the way you speak about your collegiate experience is you're being very real. Like you're talking about the joy you're getting and how you're loving what you're doing. And you're also saying these were some of the circumstances, right? That's real life. So these were not ideal things that happened. And yet I'm still pulling all the positives out of it and just kind of riding the wave of what life throws at you.
Well, I think that's ultimately what makes life as great as it is. And I feel like great isn't even the right word, but I feel very fortunate to get to experience all of it, to get to experience, those moments where we had our first scuba dive in Mexico where we're practicing our safety skills. And I felt something like bump my foot. And I kind of like looked back behind me and it was a friendly little nurse shark. And she just like bumped into my fin and was just hanging out. And I was like, this is the coolest moment of my life. I've never seen this before.
I would have freaked out, but I'm glad that you were calm.
She was precious. She was adorable. I thought she was pregnant. We had a shark biologist diving with us. Turns out this shark was not pregnant. She's just a little bit chubby. So she was just so cute. But I told my mom the same thing. And I was like on the phone with her. And my mom, I could like hear her kind of like stop breathing a little bit.
Yep.
And she was like, I'm really glad that you're doing what you love and that you had fun. And my grandma, her reaction was even worse. So you're not alone.
Yeah, they're like worried about their baby Quinn out there in the world with all these sharks. And you're like, this is so fun.
This is awesome. But those moments that like, for me, that was one of the most unique moments of my entire life. Right. Or, getting to do this undergraduate research that I love so much, to be in this field that I'm so passionate about, but also to have experienced things like getting super, super sick while on this field course and also getting rejected from a program transfer, doing my first year in a program that I wasn't passionate about. Like having those experiences, not only do they kind of build strength and resilience, but they also make all of the really good parts so much sweeter. Because it doesn't mean anything if you're just getting handed opportunity.
Exactly.
Receiving this, to work for it, to have to experience trouble and challenge to get there, it really makes it mean something. And I got a tattoo that says, this too shall pass. And that's been, my mom always says it to me, but that's been my mantra through all of this, even when, things are not working out or I'm sick or whatever it is. It's like, this will pass. We will get through this. And what comes out on the other end is always worthwhile.
Absolutely. And you're so right. It's when you have some adversity and you have to work for something, you do appreciate it so much more. And, it takes those moments to enjoy the good ones even more so. So you're wise beyond your years, friend.
I feel very fortunate to have always had a community around me that has taught me that, you have to work for things. And when you work for things, it's worth it. And it means everything. So,
and frankly, you end up learning more from what you would consider negative or just adverse experiences than you do from success,
because
absolutely. You're not really dissecting it and thinking critically about, okay, what could I have done differently? Or how can I handle this and, regulate my emotions? That's just like pure excitement. You move on from it. But when you have some failures or some struggles, you really think more about it and you learn so much.
Absolutely. And that's, I think that's something that means even more to me now that I have started to develop this background in science, especially just doing this field course in Mexico. Cause, over the course of 3 weeks, I, designed an experiment and pitched an experiment and conducted an experiment. And then after coming home, I've been, working on all of this data analysis and writing a paper. And going through that whole process has taught me that your first plan, not only does it usually not work, almost always it doesn't work.
Right.
So you kind of have to plan for taking that time to reflect, to make adjustments, and to try again. And you just have to be okay with that. And that honestly yields the most important findings, right? If you ask a question or you set out to do something and it works out the first time, you get an easy answer, you turn a profit, you're probably not setting the right goals. You're probably not asking the right questions. Like nothing worth having, nothing worth doing is ever easy. So it's worth the challenge.
Very true. If a listener is just starting college, or maybe they're struggling to find their path, what advice do you have about trusting your gut and making a shift, whether it's academically or in another area?
It's a great question, because I think that at some point in their lives, everybody has a feeling like that.
Yeah.
And, what I wish that somebody had told me when I was in that position was that you don't have to have it right the first time. You can put your entire heart and soul into something and have that conviction and then decide later that it's not right. And that is okay. There is nothing wrong with that. You are not less than for feeling that way. And I would argue that being able to recognize that you need to make a change, whether it's in life, whether it's in school, whether it's in a relationship, a job, whatever it may be, having the strength and the courage to identify, I need to make a change, is one of the bravest, one of the most kind of self-reflective things that anybody can do. So if you have that moment, if you have that thought, trust your gut, follow your heart, and do the thing, because it could be scary, and yeah, it could go wrong, but it could also go really, really well. And that's certainly been my experience, is that all of the decisions I've made, all of the experiences that I've had, ultimately it's gone really well. And I wouldn't change any of those leaps of faith that I've took. So just do the thing.
Very, very good advice. What's next? What's on the horizon for you? I know you've got some schoolwork still left, but what are you hoping to do beyond that point?
Yeah, I'm just starting to get into the season of looking at grad school applications and getting ready for that over the next year. But yeah, I'm definitely intending to keep following this path of education. I'm hoping to do a Master's of Science next. We'll see.
Nice.
We'll see what discipline, but I know that I want to continue working to conserve and study our oceans, especially our reefs and the creatures that inhabit them. And yeah, where that path takes me, I really don't know, but I know that as long as I get to scuba dive, as long as I get to occasionally bump into sharks, I'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Do you have your sights set on any certain grad school or region that you want to try to go to?
Honestly, every time I think that I've narrowed one and kind of selected something, then I kind of think, oh, but what about this? And what about this? And that's cool. And that's cool.
Yep. The world's your oyster right now.
Really, truly. And yeah, I don't know. Right now I'm especially living in Canada. I've lived in Canada for 21 years. I love Canada. I'm very proud to be a Canadian. But when it is minus 40 degrees outside, I get a little bit kind of attracted to the idea of living somewhere warm.
Yeah.
So Mexico, Australia, Florida, California, they're looking pretty attractive right now.
I would say so.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, well, Quinn, thank you for coming on. If people want to continue to follow your journey or they want to connect with you, what are the best ways they could do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think LinkedIn and Instagram and such will be linked in the show notes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, if people want to reach out to me on either of those platforms, really, truly, anytime, please do. I feel like when I was kind of going through all of these experiences, I didn't have a lot of guidance from other people that were kind of like me. So if you think that I sound like somebody that is remotely like you and you want some advice, reach out anytime. I'm always here and I'm always happy to help.
Oh, I love it. I appreciate that spirit of lifting others up. Thank you so much for coming on, Quinn.
Thank you, Liz. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Welcome to Liz's House Hot Takes. This is where I take the lessons I've learned over the last 16 years of designing Greek houses and offer you my pro tips. Here's today's house hot take. LHCs, I'm talking to you this time. Partner with your house director or VP of facilities early on. They know the quirks of your house better than anyone. Things like the AC freezes up in July every year, or plumbing can't handle another shower being added to the house. Loop them into the planning early and they'll become assets for your board, helping to flag potential delays before they become expensive problems. Thanks for listening to another House Hot Take. For more inspiration, check out the PDR Interiors Instagram or TikTok. I'm Liz Alexander, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. I'm Liz Alexander, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Alexander.